Good morning, everyone. There will be moments in life when everything feels like it's falling apart, when dreams are delayed, hearts are broken, and even your own reflection feels unfamiliar. In those moments, don't wait for someone to rescue you. Don't wait for applause. Don't wait for permission. Focus on yourself. You see, the world doesn't need another person trying to fit in. It needs someone bold enough to stand alone, grow silently, and then return unrecognizable, with purpose in their eyes. There was a time when I was shattered, not just physically, but emotionally. Every day felt like a mountain, but something inside whispered, "Start small, start now, but start for you." So I did. I started focusing on becoming 1% better every day. Quietly, patiently, and the world noticed eventually. Don't chase attention, chase progress. Because when you focus on yourself, your healing, your growth, your learning, you shock people. Not because you said something, but because you became something they never expected. There will be people who doubt you, laugh at you, even pity you. Let them. You're not here to be understood, you're here to rise. So work in silence, nurture your soul, and the day will come when you no longer need to prove anything. Your presence will do the talking. Shock them not with arrogance, but with transformation. Focus on yourself and watch the world change because you did. We live in a world that constantly tells us to look outward, to keep an eye on what others are doing, achieving, wearing, or becoming. From social media to family expectations, there's always a pressure to measure ourselves against someone else's life. But the truth is that constant comparison is a trap. It distracts us from the one person we have full control over ourselves. The moment you stop obsessing over what others have, and instead turn your gaze inward, a shift begins. Not immediately, not dramatically, but gradually, and that shift is the beginning of transformation. Self-focus isn't selfish, it's necessary. When your attention is scattered across the opinions, judgments, and standards of others, you lose clarity about who you are and what you need. But when you begin to observe your own thoughts, habits, and emotions with honesty, you begin to uncover the truth about yourself, the raw, unpolished, beautiful truth. You see your fears, your strengths, your patterns, your wounds, and from that awareness comes the power to grow. That's what focusing on yourself means. It's not about shutting the world out. It's about tuning your inner world in. Most people are afraid to be alone with themselves because silence brings up things they've tried to bury. But those quiet moments, they're sacred. They are where your healing begins, your creativity awakens, and your resilience is reborn. You learn to comfort yourself, motivate yourself, forgive yourself, and that is something no one else can ever do for you. This self-reliance, built slowly and deliberately, becomes your foundation, and with that solid ground beneath your feet, no storm can shake you the way it used to. Focusing on yourself also means letting go of the need to explain or justify your journey. You don't owe anyone a performance of your progress. You don't need to post every step or prove every achievement. The deepest growth often happens in silence, behind closed doors, when no one is watching. And that's okay, because what's unfolding inside you is far greater than any external validation could ever measure. You are evolving not to impress the world, but to meet the best version of yourself. And that's where true power begins. Struggle is not a deep, for from the path it is the path. Yet we are taught to fear pain, to hide our brokenness, and to chase only the good moments. But the truth is, our greatest strength doesn't come from the easy chapters of our lives. It is forged in the fire of hardship. When everything is falling apart, when life feels unfair and unbearable, that is where the most powerful transformation begins. Struggle doesn't break you, it reveals you. It shows you what you're made of, what matters, and what no longer serves your soul. There is a strange kind of beauty in suffering that we often miss, the kind that humbles you, that forces you to slow down and listen to yourself in a world that's always shouting. When you sit with your pain instead of running from it, you begin to see it as a teacher rather than an enemy. Every wound you carry is not a sign of weakness, but a mark of survival, proof that you've been through storms and you're still standing. Struggle makes you honest. It strips away pretense and pride and brings you face with who you truly are. Most people want the victory without the process, but it's the process, the nights you cried alone, the mornings you wanted to give up, but didn't, that gives meaning to your success. Don't be ashamed of your story if it includes scars. Scars don't ruin your beauty, they deepen it. They are reminders that your strength didn't come from comfort, it came from endurance. Struggles make your voice more real, your heart more compassionate, and your presence more impactful. When you rise from difficulty, you carry a kind of authority that only experience can give. So instead of hiding from your battles, walk straight into them with your head held high. Let the struggle shape you, refine you, strengthen you. Let it break down what's false and build up what's true. You don't need to pretend everything is perfect. Your truth is enough. The very things that try to destroy you may, in time, become the things that define your power. Embracing struggle doesn't mean loving pain. It means learning to trust that even pain can serve a purpose in your growth. In a world addicted to noise, silence is often mistaken for weakness. But silent progress, the kind you make behind closed doors, when no one is watching, holds a power far greater than loud declarations ever could. When you grow without announcing it, when you heal without posting it, and when you rise without asking for applause, your transformation becomes undeniable. You don't need to prove that you're changing. The energy you begin to carry will speak for you. Real progress doesn't beg for attention, it commands quiet respect. There is something sacred about working on yourself in private. It's where your growth becomes pure, not influenced by praise or judgment, but guided by purpose. When you stop performing and start evolving, your life begins to align from within. The small wins that no one sees, getting up when you're exhausted, choosing discipline over comfort, learning to be kind to yourself, they build a foundation so solid that no external force can shake it. That kind of growth doesn't need to be broadcasted. It radiates from your presence. The most powerful people aren't always the loudest in the room. They're the ones who have quietly overcome battles you'll never hear about. They carry a strength that can't be faked or forced. It comes from consistency, from showing up for themselves day after day without validation. Silent progress isn't just about humility, it's about integrity. It's about doing the right thing for yourself even when no one is clapping, because you know your worth is not defined by attention, but by transformation. Let others chase recognition while you chase betterment. Let them post every step while you take yours in silence, because one day you'll walk into a room and people won't recognize you, not because of what you said, but because of what you became. That is the loudest statement you will ever make. Silent progress might be quiet, but when it finally reveals itself, it echoes in ways that leave the world stunned. From a young age, we're conditioned to seek approval from parents, teachers, peers, and eventually, society at large. We learn that praise equals worth, that validation means we're on the right path. But the problem is, when your growth becomes tied to approval, you begin to shape your life not around your truth, but around what will please others. You wear masks, you silence your needs, you delay your dreams just to fit into someone else's comfort zone, and slowly, without realizing it, you abandon yourself. True growth begins when you choose to break free from that cycle. When you commit to your own evolution, not everyone will understand. Some people will question your choices, mock your efforts, or minimize your progress, not because you're wrong, but because your growth challenges their comfort. And that's okay. You are not here to meet other people's expectations. You are here to meet your own potential. Growth is not about being liked, it's about becoming whole. It's about stepping into the uncomfortable, choosing what's right over what's popular, and learning to stand tall even when you stand alone. Approval can be addictive, a quick hit of affirmation that makes you feel seen. But it fades, and it often demands more than it gives. You find yourself constantly adjusting your truth to maintain the applause. But growth, real growth, is steady, it's quiet, it's personal. It's the decision to keep going even when no one is watching. It's choosing self-discipline over people, pleasing, and authenticity over acceptance. When you value growth over approval, you begin to live a life that aligns with who you truly are, not just who others expect you to be. Choosing growth over approval is one of the most courageous decisions you'll ever make, because it means risking misunderstanding, losing relationships, and stepping away from the familiar. But it also means gaining freedom. It means finding peace in your own reflection and power in your own path. You begin to realize that the applause of the world is a fleeting sound, but the quiet confidence that comes from personal progress. That stays with you, and that is worth far more than any round of applause ever could be. There will always be people who doubt you not because you lack ability, but because they lack vision. They can't see what you're capable of because they've never dared to dream beyond their own limitations. Their doubt isn't a reflection of your potential, it's a mirror of their own fears, and if you're not careful, you'll begin to wear their doubt like it belongs to you, but it doesn't. Let them doubt you. Let them whisper, let them question your path. Their disbelief is not your burden, it's your fuel. When you begin to change, to grow, to rise, it makes others uncomfortable, especially those who have built their identity around who you used to be. They will try to remind you of your past, of your failures, of your flaws, not because they want to help you, but because your evolution threatens their comfort. Let them. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing to become better. You don't need permission to grow. The people who doubt you today may be the same ones who act surprised when you succeed, and that surprise will be your quiet triumph. Doubt can be a gift in disguise. It sharpens you, it humbles you, it gives you a reason to push harder, dig deeper, and rise stronger. Every time someone says you can't, use it as a reason to prove that you can, but don't prove it to them, prove it to yourself. That's where your real power lies. You are not here to satisfy someone else's limited imagination. You are here to stretch the boundaries of your own. Let their doubt be the silence that makes your progress louder. Some of the most powerful journeys begin with people saying, "You'll never make it." That's fine. Let them say it. Let them think it. While they talk, you work. While they predict your failure, you prepare your comeback. Let them doubt you, and then shock them not with noise, but with results. Because nothing is more humbling to a doubter than watching the very person they dismissed turn their silence into success. Transformation isn't a lightning strike, it's a slow sunrise. It doesn't happen in one bold moment of change, but in the quiet repetition of small daily choices. Real transformation is rooted in consistency. It's waking up every day and choosing to show up for yourself, even when you're tired, unmotivated, or discouraged. It's not about making dramatic leaps. It's about taking steady steps. Consistency isn't glamorous. It won't get you instant results or immediate praise. But over time, it builds something stronger than talent or luck. It builds character. You don't need to overhaul your life in one day. You just need to begin and then begin again the next day. Whether it's healing your mind, changing your habits, learning a skill, or rebuilding your confidence, it all comes down to what you do repeatedly. One small act of self-respect, done consistently, carries more power than any burst of intensity, because intensity burns out, but consistency creates rhythm, and from rhythm, a new life begins to take shape. You stop being a prisoner of your past, and you become an architect of your future. People often wait for motivation to strike before they move, but motivation is fleeting. Discipline, however, is dependable. When you choose discipline, when you choose to keep going even on the days when it's hard, that's where true change happens. It's not always about doing it perfectly, it's about doing it anyway. The days you feel like quitting are the most important ones to push through. Because each time you keep your promise to yourself, you send a message to your soul. I am worth the effort. The most remarkable transformations don't always come with a big announcement. They reveal themselves when people begin to notice the glow in your energy, the clarity in your decisions, the strength in your silence. They'll ask what your secret is, and the answer will be simple. You stayed consistent when no one was watching. That's the real magic. Not a miracle, not a shortcut, just daily commitment to becoming a little better, a little braver, a little more you. In a world overflowing with noise, the most unforgettable statement you can make is not spoken, it's lived. Everyone wants to be heard, but very few are willing to do the work that makes their presence undeniable. You don't need to tell people who you are becoming. You don't have to defend your choices, justify your healing, or narrate every step of your journey. The most powerful transformations happen in silence, and then they echo without effort. When you rise, not because you said you would, but because you did, that's when the world takes notice. Words are easy. Promises, plans, declarations, they roll off the tongue quickly. But lasting change is built in action. When you dedicate yourself to growth without constantly announcing it, your rise becomes unexpected, undeniable, and unstoppable. People who once doubted you will be stunned, not by what you said, but by what you became. Let your evolution speak for itself. Let your new energy, your newfound peace, your focused ambition be the loudest thing in the room. That's the kind of noise that can't be ignored. There is something beautifully humbling about rising without warning. You didn't ask for attention. You didn't beg for understanding. You just worked day after day in the shadows with faith and fire in your heart. And then, one day, the same world that overlooked you will have no choice but to recognize you. Not because you demanded recognition, but because your growth became too powerful to hide. Let them wonder how you did it. Let them be amazed at how you turned quiet effort into undeniable presence. Shock them not with arrogance, but with grace, not with loud victories, but with quiet strength. Rise in a way that makes them question their own limitations. Rise in a way that reminds them that stillness is not weakness, and silence is not surrender. Let your transformation become your response, your proof, your power. Because when you shock them with your rise, not your words, you don't just inspire change. You become the evidence that change is possible. So here you are not perfect, not finished, but rising. With every silent step, every private victory, every tear you wiped without witnesses, you've been building something extraordinary, yourself. You don't need to shout your worth. You don't need to prove your journey. Just keep going. Focus on your healing. Focus on your peace. Focus on your vision, and let your transformation become your loudest answer to every doubt, every delay, every moment you were underestimated. Because the most powerful thing you can do is become someone no one saw coming. Remember, it's not about impressing the world. It's about becoming someone you're proud to live with. And one day, when you walk into rooms you once only dreamed of, the silence will speak for you. Shock them not for revenge, not for applause, but because you finally chose you.